Okay, the construction of the ANTAHKARANA passed. In connection with this, there's no need for elaboration, as it must be obvious that only the man who is the product of a very long and fruitful past experience is equipped to undertake the task of bridge building. The process involves much scientific experience in the art of living, and only the highly trained human inquirer can soundly and safely build the bridge between the highest and the lowest. Each of the major human races has been responsible for the expression and the employment of the threads which together form the ANTAHKARANA. 1. In ancient Lemuria, the life thread, the sutratma per se, was the dominant factor in the life expression. The physical body, the animal form nature, and the dense outer factor was the focus of life, exuberant, productive, and vital. 2. In old Atlantis, the consciousness thread began to function in a way unrealized in Lemuria. Sensitivity, awareness, and, as a result, desire and reaction were the key notes. Active sensitivity as a prelude to full consciousness distinguished the human being. The astral vehicle was a controlling factor. The mind was relatively quiescent, except where the foremost members of the human race were concerned. The humanity of that world cycle were, however, all of them extremely psychic and mediumistic. They were sensitives in the modern use of the term. The state of awareness was astral, and human beings were, as a race, clairaudient and clairvoyant, though in no way able to interpret that which they contacted. They were not able to distinguish astral phenomena from ordinary physical life, particularly in the middle period of their racial history. And the interpreting mind revealed nothing to them. They simply lived and felt. Such was their life history. 2 of the threads were functioning, 1 was not functioning at all. The bridge was not built. 3, in our modern Aryan race, modern as far as racial histories are concerned, the 3rd thread, the creative thread, comes into active expression and use. I would remind you that all these threads exist from the beginning of human existence, and that all these 3 streams of energy have been indissolubly present from the beginning of human consciousness. But for the greater part of human history, up to the present, men remained unaware of them, and quite unconsciously made use of and continued to make use of their presence. The process of recognizing creative ability and of opportunity falls into 2 phases or stages. A, the stage wherein the mind principle is developed and unfolded, and man becomes a mental creature. This produces the full activity of the mental unit, the integration of the 3 aspects of the personality, and the consequent awareness of the son of mind or soul. B, the stage of creative activity, wherein the creative thread is brought into full use. This personality use of the thread, as distinguished from racial use, is characteristic of the Aryan race. It is only during the past 5,000 years that it has gradually become the outstanding quality of mankind. In the other 2 races, and in the early stages of the Aryan race, although great creative monuments appeared everywhere upon the planet, they were not the product of the minds of the men of the time, but were the imposition of the creative will of the planetary hierarchy upon those who were sensitive to the higher impression. The responsive sensitivity to creative impression was the outstanding quality of the latter Atlantean consciousness, and of the early Aryan period. It is today giving place to individual creativity and consequently to the conscious creation of the bridging Antakarana, which is the outcome of the fused and blended threefold thread. This summation of the past process is intended simply to give a synthetic background to all the work now to be done and to convey to you an almost visual concept of the method whereby man has reached the stage of conscious life, of full self-awareness and creative expression. All of these were the expression of divine energy as it poured into his mechanism via the silver thread of divine potency. This might be regarded as a threefold demonstration of the vertical life, which becomes the horizontal life through the expression of creativity. Man then indeed becomes the cross. When, however, he succeeds in constructing the rainbow bridge, which can only be done when man is upon the fixed cross, then finally the cross gives place to the line. This takes place after the fourth initiation, that of the crucifixion. There remains then only the vertical line reaching from heaven to hell, the goal of the initiate between the fourth and the seventh initiation is to resolve the line into the circle and thus fulfill the law and the rounding out of the evolutionary process. Another summation of the entire process may be found in the lines from Stanzas for Disciples, which I gave out some time ago, and which will also be found elsewhere in this volume. In the cross is hidden light. The vertical and horizontal in mutual friction creates a vibrant cross, scintillates, and motion originates. When the vertical assumes the horizontal, prolia supervenes. Evolution is the movement of the horizontal to upright positiveness. In the secret of direction lies the hidden wisdoms. In the doctrine of absorption lies the healing faculty, in the point becoming the line, and the line becoming the cross is evolution. In the cross swinging to the horizontal lies salvation and prolaic peace. It might be said that few, very few, people are today at the Lemurian stage of consciousness, wherein the life thread, with its physical implications, is the dominant factor. Many, very many people are at the Atlantean stage of development, of auric sensitivity. A few, a very few in comparison with the untold masses of human beings, are utilizing the results of the triple construction of energy within their own aura of awareness and their area of influence, in order to build, construct, and utilize the bridge which links the various aspects of the mental plane. These three aspects they must employ simultaneously, and then later supersede them in such a manner that personality and ego disappear, and only the monad and its form upon the physical plane remain. In this connection, my earlier statement on the nature of form may be used and lead to increased insight and understanding. The physical plane is a complete reflection of the mental. The lowest three subplanes reflect the abstract subplanes, and the four etheric subplanes reflect the four mental concrete planes. And this is very deep and should be, we should take a minute here and really contemplate this, because I read this yesterday, and it's definitely worth contemplating, and it needs to be. The manifestation of the ego on the mental plane, or the causal body, is not the result of energy emanating from the permanent atoms as a nucleus of force, but it is the result of different forces, and primarily of group force. It is predominantly marked by an act of an exterior force and is lost in the mysteries of planetary karma. This is equally true of man's lowest manifestations. It is the result of reflex action and is based on the force of the group of etheric centers through which man, as an aggregate of lives, is functioning. The activity of these centers sets up an answering vibration in the three lowest subplanes of the physical plane, and the interaction between the two causes an adherence to or aggregation around the etheric body of particles of what we erroneously term dense substance. This type of energized substance is swept up in the vortex of force currents issuing from the centers and cannot escape. These units of force therefore pile up according to the energy direction around and within the etheric sheath till it is hidden and concealed, yet interpenetrating. An inexorable law, the law of matter itself, brings this about, and only those can escape the effect of the vitality of their own centers who are definitely lords of yoga and can, through the conscious will of their own being, escape the compelling force of the law of attraction working on the lowest cosmic physical subplane. And that's from Treatise on Cosmic Fire 789. I have earlier told you that the astral body is an illusion. It is eventually discovered to be non-existent by the man who has achieved the consciousness of the initiate. When Buddhi reigns, the lower psychic nature fades out. When the ANTAHKARANA is built and the mental unit is superseded by the monastic permanent atom and the causal body disappears, then the adept knows that the lower mind, the mental body, is also an illusion and is, for him, non-existent. There are then, as far as his individual consciousness is concerned, only three focal points or anchorages. Both of these expressions are inadequate to express the full meaning. One, humanity, in which he can focus himself at will through the medium of what is called technically the Mayavarupa, a bodily form which he creates for the fulfillment of monadic purpose. He then fully expresses all the energies of the mutable cross. Two, the hierarchy, here as a focused unit of all-inclusive Buddhic awareness. He finds his place and mode of service conditioned by his monadic ray. He then expresses the values of the fixed cross. 3. Shambhala. This is the highest point of focus, the goal of the exertions of all initiates of the higher degrees, and the source of the Sutratma through which, and its differentiations, he can now consciously work. Here he finds himself still crucified, but on the cardinal cross. The task with which the human being, in all his stages of unfoldment, has been occupied might therefore be stated to be the bridging of the gap between 1. The mutable cross and the fixed cross, 2. Humanity and the hierarchy, 3. The lower triplicity, the personality, and the spiritual triad, 4. The monad on its own plane and the outer objective world. This he does through a process of intention, visualization, projection, invocation and evocation, stabilization and resurrection. With these various stages, we will now deal. And this next section is going to be called the construction of the ANTAHKARANA and the Aryan race into the present, but we're going to leave it there for today and pick up here tomorrow. All right, have a good one.